We get people from all around the world, and I am so thankful for that. I truly, truly appreciate all of you, and I love doing these channelings. What was I going to say? So let's see, here we are. It's already halfway through January. It's amazing how fast time is moving. And I know there's been a lot going on. So they've got a lot to say. I have several pages of questions. When we got together 2 weeks ago, I wanted them to just talk about whatever it is they wanted to say instead of reading questions and coming in and out. And I really, really enjoyed that one. You can go back and look at it. It was December 30th. And it's on my website, crystallinetransformations.com. It's also on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Those are the three primary places that I post everything. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. If you want to scroll to the very top, I put in my thing, my link for donations. I truly would appreciate it if you feel like doing something like that. If not, no big deal. This is here for everyone. But if you want to, thank you very much. Now, already I'm seeing Denmark, Norway, Ontario, upstate New York. So you see, we're from all around the world. I love it. I know that there'll be people coming in from Australia. We frequently get that. And a couple of more places, Sweden oftentimes, England, all different parts of the US and Canada. So this is truly, truly a world community. And it is because the world is becoming one big community. So it's very, very cool. Hey, Judy, she's from Atlanta, which is here where I live. Good to see you. For those that are on Goddess, that also follow goddesslight.net, I've had a problem with my email on that. And if you get the daily messages, I think it's fixed. I think they'll start up again. But I've been having to work with people that are in Ireland, and with the time change, it just was not super easy to get that fixed. But I do believe it is now fixed. And so you can always check out my other website, goddesslight.net. That's the one that I began with. I've been channeling probably close to 30 years now. And my first website was goddesslight.net, which I started in about 2003. So I've been channeling many, many different high vibrational beings. And her stuff is about meditations that help you with clearing and growing and manifesting. The ULBs is about giving you information and talking about what's going on. So they just are two different genres. And I just do them both. So we'll see. I do private sessions. If that is something that you're interested in at some point, feel free to look at my websites, and you can get all the information there. Once you order it, it'll send me a notification, then I'll contact you about setting up a time. Usually I can work with you in the next few days, if not just a week or so out, not too long. So Oregon, good to see you. Australia, you see, I told you Australia would show up. The Netherlands, awesome. Love it. Arizona. See, we are from all over, and I really, really love it. Okay, well, there is a lot to say tonight, and I've got a lot of questions here, so I think I'm just going to jump on in. Greetings, it is I, El Bayon, and I welcome you to this evening. I am very, very happy to be here with you. I am very happy to start what you consider a new year on the earth plane. Time-space reality is always so very interesting. Even out here in the universe, we do have different things. We don't call it year per se. It's just a different way of following time or being in the space of time. We do look at what has been, we do look at what is coming, but the focus is all about living in the moment. So when you truly, truly are living in the moment, then your energy and your focus is not as concerned with how many days until this is due, how many days until I have to get to my birthday, how many days for whatever it may be that you are counting the days. So I believe that that is something that is also going to transition at some point. I'm not saying transition out, not in any way, shape, or means, not at this point. But the focus that I would like for each of you to begin to work with is on living in the now moment. And by living in the now moment, you're aware of the past, you're aware of the future, but your focus and your energy and everything that you are doing is in this now moment. This is going to become more and more important for you as time goes on, because it is another way of helping to move out of what you have been living within on the earth plane. everyone here is very well aware that you have been living in, there's so many different, some dramatic names for it. You've been living in a slave state. You've been living in a control and manipulative state. You've been living in a, what's the word we want to use? Not ego-based, but that could be one. But you've been living in a place where everything was focused on keeping you down, keeping you less than, making life hard for you, making money so that you can never really get ahead. This is, of course, you are all very well aware. And that is changing. But what I would like to talk about for a few minutes here is that it's going to change in ways that is hard for you to understand right now. If you can, when you've been thinking about things and looking and living your daily life and paying attention to stuff, you have been noticing that you are manifesting more and more things that are of a higher, lighter frequency. There are still times when your energy dips down. There are still times when you get sucked into the trauma that they may have on social media, but the majority of your energy is at that higher vibrational frequency. So what people are trying to do in this now moment, because this is all still so new to you, is try to fit in the old paradigm what it is like to not have control and manipulation. And just as they say, you can't get a different result doing the same thing, that's exactly what I'm speaking about here. So in this year, 2026, I'm hoping that people will begin to recognize that I'm living in a different frequency. I'm going to look at the world, at my life, at everything that's happening, relationships and everything from a different place. But to get there, I have to shift and completely disconnect from the control and manipulation that I have been a part of. Some of you for 50, 60, 70 years, some of you for 10 or 15 years. It just, ages are quite varied when it comes to this. But it doesn't matter what your age is. It's just that those that are younger might not be as entrained within it as those that are older. On the flip side, many of you that are older have been very aware of this, and so you've already been working to disconnect. So it's not a competition. It's not about who's going to do it first and who's going to do it last, but be aware that you need to start looking at yourself in a different way. You need to start looking at humanity in a different way, and you need to make sure you are not getting caught up in what's happening around you. That being said, many of the questions that got sent from me were still in that everyday focus on fear and control and manipulation. And when is this going to stop? And when is that going to stop? Well, you need to just look at it and observe it and then come back to that space of being in presence, being in the presence of yourself, being in the presence of your consciousness. And even though as I'm saying this, many of you might be thinking, yeah, that's true. I agree with that. However, when it comes to actually doing it, it may still be a little bit of a challenge. So don't, the number one part of all of this is it is not about judging whether you're doing it right or doing it wrong. It's about simply being in the awareness of how am I looking at the world? How am I looking at my life? How am I looking at what's going on around me? And as I ask myself those questions throughout the day, then that can keep me disconnecting, and keep my vibration at a higher vibration and frequency. So it's been coming heavier and heavier and heavier, or not heavier, but it's been coming more and more and more. In particular, the last quarter of last year, the 3-Eye Atlas. Isn't it interesting how suddenly you don't hear about it as much? And so many people think, oh, it's gone now because the solstice is gone. No, it's still here. It's still working. But the second half of its mission is to help people to learn to live in that higher frequency and just look at what's going on the planet as, oh yeah, that's the remnants of all that crap that we went through for so many years, for thousands of years. But we're not getting into that anymore because I'm choosing to live in this new higher frequency. So that was one of the first things that I wanted to talk to you about. And as I'm looking at things, of course, I always have conversations with Shelly, and I might drop little tidbits into her consciousness to look at or think about. And I've been doing this with many, many of you too. And not just me, there are many different light beings that are working with people on the planet right now so as to assist with this change and transformation taking place. So whoever your guides are, whoever it is that you work with, start listening to them, start paying attention to your intuition, and know that, and it might be that every single thing that comes through, you have to check in. Do I trust this? Do I not? Do I trust this? Do I not? And if you have to do it on every single thing you see, then do it on single thing you see, even including this channeling. If it doesn't resonate with you, then just let it go. But the key is that the more that you're staying in the higher frequency, the less everything that you're hearing about is going to be resonating with you. There is a lot that is transitioning. There's a lot happening worldwide when it comes to humanity, when it comes to politics, when it comes to the transitions in countries. And there is a lot that has already happened that you're being shown as if it's happening in real time. For example, what just happened in Venezuela, it was a big trigger, was it not, for so many people? But that actually happened a while ago, and there was just a puppet that was in that place. And so, yes, absolutely, they did have to take him out. Yes, absolutely, they did have the guards that were there that weren't aware of things. So, yes, all of that did happen, and it did happen at the time that you were shown about it. But there were certain other aspects of it that were put on as if to show you this is what we're doing right now, but it's actually stuff that happened maybe about a year ago or a little bit longer. So for all the people that are saying, well, he had no right to do that, he had every right to do that. They had been violating treaties with the United States for a very, very, very long time. So when you pare everything down and look at the legality of it, it was very legal. I'm just saying that. I'm not judging it. I just know that so many people that have been looking at all of this were saying it wasn't legal. He had no right to do that. He has no right to go around the world. What you got to remember is that DJT is one of the ones, in fact, he's one of the major ones that is working worldwide to bring about this higher vibrational frequency. So if you see him doing something, don't just jump into it and say, oh my gosh, this is terrible. He must have gone off the deep end. He's not real. He's not right. That's exactly what the opposition wants you to think about things. And these are exactly the things that you need to say, not going to believe it. I'm going to put my faith that the earth has moved into the higher frequency, and therefore we're not going to go backwards. We can only go forward. And when you keep that in your mind, and when you keep processing that, and you let that become a part of your everyday life, not only are you going to live at the higher vibrational frequency, you are also going to look and not get caught up in these things that are happening around you. This is the way they're taking out the last of these nefarious ones, and it's going to happen again in other countries. And it feels to me like a lot of this could be happening this month, because now is the time that they need to show everyone what's been going on. Of course, in your alternative media, everyone is very open about this, and you can see all the documentation in those locations. So just saying, be aware and pay attention and know what is, where is this information coming from? Well, I hear so many people say, oh, but it was a really, a strong source. It was someone I always listen to. Well, this is why no, it was Trump. It wasn't JFK. It was the other guy. So sorry. See, this is Shelly and her ADD, She gets distracted, and then, okay, squirrel. Let me come back in. But this is why even the people that you trust may be specifically giving you certain information because that's what they want everybody to look at or go in a particular direction. And they know darn well that they're telling you this when the reality is this, and they're specifically sending you in a different direction. So, and if that's the case, then either use your discernment and you say, okay, even though I trust them and I think they do a great job, I'm still going to stay over here with what really resonates with me. And that's you using your discernment. Okay, so then I do know that a couple of the questions were the three countries that came up most often was Cuba, Greenland, and Iran. So let me look at those since I'm talking about this right now anyway. Let me look at Cuba. Cuba is going to be, okay, and the other thing is the people that are stepping up into place are going to be those that are part of the, what do you want to call it, the white hat. They're going to be part of the people that are in liberation, that are there for the people, that are there for the harmony, that are there working hand in hand with the rest of the world. So Cuba is going to transition, and it feels like it is going to transition this month. It feels like it's maybe this week, if not next week. So quite soon. And again, no bloodshed with that. He already knows. The person who's in charge of that already knows, and he's trying to get out of there. In fact, he's already been taken out. He's been taken out. It was like bing, bing. The two were back to back, because as soon as they took out this one, they knew that they were going to have to take out that one, or he'd be trying, to get away, going through tunnels and dumbs and different other ways to try to get away. So they've both been taken out. And Cuba is going to be restored to its own nationality. And the person that, it feels like there's someone there that's ready to step up, and that individual is working in alignment with the other countries around them so as to bring peace and balance to that area. Both of these countries were used as direct targets against the United States. And both of them, yes, the CIA was a part of it. And yes, they the nefarious aspect of that organization was definitely a part of this. And that's what makes it a little bit of the double-edged sword, isn't it? It's like, but wait a second, you're saying that U.S. can do that, but wait a second. So the understanding here is that they're clearing out and they're getting rid of the remainder of the nefarious ones that were part of these organizations. They've known who they are for 5 to 8 years. And now they're in the place that they can take these people out, and they can do it in a public manner, and they can do it in a way so that the entire planet knows what's going on. The other thing to be aware of is the vast majority, because constantly people are like, are we going to ascend? I mean, please don't even ask anymore. Are the nefarious ones ever going to be taken down? Yes, they've already been taken down. And the people that are in their place, sometimes it's a person that, might walk a line, a little bit gray, as they say. Sometimes that person is just simply an actor. Sometimes there's a lot of different things that can be going on in each of these individuals. So don't paint a brush that they're all exactly the same, because there are many different things that are happening. Okay, let me jump over to Iran and look at that area. You see, everyone's talking about Iran as if it's going to have this big warfare. I do not see it. I simply do not see it. With the strike they made earlier in the year, that took out any threat that they were going to have. And so I do not see that there is a threat coming about from Iran. It feels to me as if much of this stuff are just the nefarious ones still trying to get people to have warfare, still trying to stimulate and push and nudge people so that they will get into fights with one another. But the bottom line is, when the president is doing any of these things, his key, number one, is as little bloodshed as possible. Number two, he's doing it legally. Number three, he's doing it in such a way that he is disarming potential threats to the other people, be it people in that region or people back in the United States. So with all of this talk and everything going on in Iran, it feels to me as if it's a smoke screen, and it's trying to get you to look over here and something else is happening. So let me see what that something else is. Okay, Iran and Persia and Arabia. I don't know who is it Iraq, is Arabia, but anyway, that portion of the world going over towards China is one of the original parts of the planet that were inhabited, and there is a great deal of information that is stored within the earth in those places. There are also a great many earth minerals, as they call them, or there's a word for them that they call special minerals, or I don't know. I don't remember the word. But anyway, so that area, that's why they started the war back in 2003 or 4 or whenever that was, because supposedly to take out the nuclear, but it wasn't. It was to try to get these ancient texts and try to get this ancient information so that it could then be used for control and manipulation. But here's the good news about all of this. Now, unfortunately, at that time, there were ETs that were very bad ETs that were working with these individuals that thought they could activate some of these things. But a great deal of what is in the earth in those places are only aligned with very high vibrational frequencies. So you can have something sitting right here, just call it a rock, and you can have someone right next to it that's sending out waves trying to find that rock, and it's not going to be seen if it's not a similar frequency. This is why we talk about this for so many years now, is that what a frequency does is it's like the antenna that connects two things so that you can see what is there, whereas someone who doesn't have the right frequency doesn't see what's there. It's about finding that vibration where, be it that person or the minerals or whatever it is in alignment with you, whereas others are not. So anyway, coming back around to this place up in the Himalayan mountains, there are many, many, many ancient texts which is not a far journey from this area. So that whole strip, as you go through there, is where a lot of the ancient parts of the earth where there were people living. And so there is a great deal of ancient knowledge that is within there. There are pyramids that are under the ground. There are other systems that will activate as portals. And many of these things have been used as portals all along, but that's going to go to a much greater rare earth minerals. That's the word I'm trying to think of. And so those types of things are going to become much more well known in the future. The reason is some of these, what they're calling rare earth minerals, are the things that are used in aircraft, and they're used in the building of machinery so that it can go out into the universe and on the earth plane. So it's different than some of the minerals that you have mined for in the past. It's because things are going to the next phase on Earth, which is becoming a part of the Galactic Federation, which is becoming a part of that galactic movement into the other, what do you call them? Planets, the other stars, the other ships, the other systems that are all working in this part of your universe. And in order to do so, they have to have the correct minerals, they have to have the correct machinery, and that will be given to humanity. In fact, a great deal has already been given to humanity, and but it's been given to them and it was kept secret from you and not given to all of humanity. The other thing that was done is much of that was given to humanity as to those that wanted to use it for control and manipulation, say, I have it. What are you going to pay me to use it or to borrow it or whatever it was? And again, it's almost like things go inert when that happens. So this is what we're clearing out from the planet at this time. And when that is cleared out, that's when you'll be able to hear more about these maglev trains, and that's where you'll hear more about these ships that go in and out of the consciousness and the physicality of the earth plane. So that's what Iran is, and Persia and that whole part of the world is really important for. And if you look at Israel, that's kind of at one of the portals or one of the areas that lets people have access to that. And let me just do a check-in because I have the last couple of times too. Again, I don't know what you may see in your everyday reality as you're living over there, but as I look at it, I still see that the two heads are gone Everything is being cleared out, and it just looks like emptiness. So I know there's still people there. I know that people are living there. I know there is still stuff that's going on, but it does not have the energy that was associated with when the nefarious ones were there. They were so active in their duties, in their activities. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to jump up to Greenland now because that was another one that had multiple questions. Whew. So Greenland is another part of the planet that has many, many, many sacred, from ancient times. I'm talking pre-Lemurian times. There are many things under the ice in Greenland, similar to under the ice in Antarctica, that are part of the core aspects of the Earth plane. And so there are many portals that are there. There are many minerals that are there. There are whole cities that are underneath the ice. Now, I do know that a great deal of Greenland also has, farming and agriculture and growing animals and different things that are on the surface. So it's actually been quite a productive country also. So this is not just like, for example, Antarctica. There's nothing you do on the surface of Antarctica. Those nefarious ones that went in only went in so far. They thought they were in there. They kept trying to go further, but they were never allowed to go further because those that are at the gateway, those that are the keepers, kept them from being able to go in any further than just that outside portion of it or the beginning of the tunnels that went deeper. They were very well aware that there was a lot more that was inside, but they never did get in because, number one, they would go in for nefarious reasons. Number two, they were never of a vibration to be able to survive in that high vibrational area. So that's Antarctica. That's something different. When we go up to Greenland, there's still a lot of ice. There still has that sense of, it is shielding something and it is protecting something that is intrinsic within the land there. So it is a very special land, and it feels like there's a lot of tradition. What are they called? Greenlanders? Greenlands? Anyway, Greenlanders, I think is the name. But let me just go and look at it, and let me look at the country. So many of the countries have put bases there. The United States did after World War II. Germany did. Russia did. And so as we look at this, as I'm looking at this right now, I see multiple bases throughout this. Do you call it a country or is it a continent? I think it's a country. And so there, as you look at this country, you will see that there are multiple bases from many different other countries that are in the region. I know that it has a direct link into Denmark, but I also see a direct link into Norway for some reason. It's just like I see this country here, and I just see those two links as having an alignment. Not sure if there's a specific reason for that, but that's just how it's coming across to me right now. Are the people of Greenland happy with the way they have been? No, they are not happy with the way that things have been for probably about 25 or 30 years, it feels like. They feel like they have not had the support that they wanted to have from Denmark. They feel like they're just doing for themselves, and that the alignment with Denmark was supposed to give them certain benefits, and it gave them some benefits, but not everything was fulfilled as it was supposed to be. And also with these changes that are going on in the world, it feels as if the people of Greenland are asking for the United States to give its support and give its backing, because they feel like that's going to give them more support and more backup when it comes to dealing with other people and other countries. So my point of this, that's very interesting to me because I haven't really looked that deeply at this before, because the U.S. has that reputation for going in, usually with the nefarious of the three-letter agencies, because they have that reputation. As I'm looking at it now, it looks like Greenland is the one that started the communication with them. And it feels like it may have started in Trump's first presidency, and then it got renewed about 1 to 2 years ago. And maybe, as I'm thinking, that's when a lot of that cabal stuff was coming down, because they were very heavily invested in this area. It was a massive human trafficking place. There were many, many dumbs that were underneath the surface. And so it was a big place for all of this to happen. And I believe that as that began to fall apart, that's when these other countries said, well, I'm going to go pick it up, and I'm going to go pick it up, and I'm going to go pick it up. And so my sense as I'm looking at this is that they do want an alliance with the United States. Does everybody? Probably not. But it feels like there's more than a majority that are unhappy with Denmark. So it feels like when it's put to a vote, the vote is going to be that they want to go to the United States. So it does feel like it becomes a territory, not the 52nd state. It feels like it's a territory, just like out in the Pacific and in other parts of the world, there are territories that have the support and the backing of the United States, but it's not an actual state. It gives both the independence to that country and independence to them. So when does something like this going to happen? It feels like it's going to happen sometime during February, maybe the end of January, but definitely before the equinox in March. Okay, so I think I don't know when I start looking, when we start looking at the questions here, that may come up again. Oh, here it is right here. Let's see if we got all of that. Okay. Oh, and someone was asking, is there something underneath the surface that is affecting the weather? Is there something that's underground in Greenland that is affecting the weather? Well, there's a big, huge area that's underground. And it feels like I said, if you think of a Grand Central Station, and it even feels like houses and different things under there. So let me see. Is there something underneath Greenland that has been affecting the weather, in particular in the north? It feels like there is something. It does not, whatever this person was talking about, it was giving me the sense of like a massive machine that was doing all this control and manipulation. It does not feel like that to me. It feels like, yes, there are things under the earth that are used, and that is a target, just like Alaska, just like Switzerland, just like South America, just like China. All over the world, you have different places where these machines are. And this one, to me, feels as if it's been pretty much shut down. It is not being used in the same way that it was being used before, because those nefarious ones have been taken out of there. And so okay, let me ask that question. Good question. I heard someone say, well, is there still human trafficking happening up there? And the answer I get is no, for the most part. There may be a few that slip by, but where it used to be a massive thing that was kind of a lot of people, the untalked about secret, and now I don't get any of that at all. I do get there's still a little bit of trafficking that's going on, but I feel like there's still a little bit of trafficking around the world. But it is the end of that whole process that's been going on for so many years. And so it is all winding down. Okay, so that's Greenland. Let me just look if there's any other country that's going to... It feels like there's going to be a great deal of information that comes out about all of the countries on the planet, and that there's a lot of information that you're going to hear. And it's just this sense of some people that you think are bad are giving you true information, and some people that you think are good are giving you bad information. So whether it's all scripted, whether it's done to kind of confuse you, I don't know for sure. But this is the type of stuff that is very, very easy for you to get pulled into and your energy to be pulled down. So read it, know about it, understand, so that you feel as if you're in the know, but do not get caught up in it, because this is a number one thing to pull you down. The nefarious ones, what did they always want? The loosh, as you call it, which is people's fear, anxiety, anger, frustration. So whenever, for whatever reason, if you find yourself going down that pathway, then stop, clear your energy, come back up to that place of balance, and then you can look at it again. But I do feel as if there will be a lot of changing that's taking place, especially in the first 3 months of this year. And a good bit of it has already happened, and it's just they're telling you about it now. Okay, let's jump into some of these questions because I know there's a lot. Were DEW weapons used in the recent devastating fires in Victoria, Australia? And if so, why? So as you recall, the U.S. had many devastating fires, and there were absolutely DEW weapons that were involved in that. There were some places over in Europe, same thing. So as we look at this, it has a different feel to it than what those others did. When we tapped into it, it felt as if, you know, there was this heaviness and this constriction and like a hit to your heart, you could say. So as I'm tapping into this and as I'm reading it, I feel like there's some of that energy, but it does not feel as overwhelming and as strong as it did in these other situations. So yes, I believe that there may have been a DEW weapon that was used. However, it does not feel like it was done as much from the nefarious ones, or they weren't able to do as much devastating, what do you call it, damage to the area as they wanted to do. I know there was plenty of damage that was done, but it really feels as if Australia is still in the process of cleaning up all of these things. They have so much to clean up. They were used by the nefarious ones to place a bunch of things, laboratories, dumps, all sorts of things. And so there were multiple areas where it was the flooding, I believe, last year. Now it's the fire here. So there was some manipulation that did take place with that. And yes, there was some devastation. And as with everything, as they're cleaning these things out, there are many innocent people that get affected by it. And it is, of course, always, you know, our heart goes out to anyone that is affected in that way. But yes, DEW were used, but not to the severe extent that they wanted to. And they used them because it was very targeted to specific areas that they knew they needed to take out to get rid of stuff that was happening by the nefarious ones. Okay, I forgot to write the time. What is the truth behind silver and its devaluation? Silver is almost one of those rare earth metals. I know it's been around and you have used it for many, many hundreds of years, but silver is something that is used in many different machines. It is used in your coinage. It is used in airplanes, and it is used, I'm seeing windshields. I'm seeing fighter jets. It's used in fighter jets. So silver is something that was purposely kept undervalued, and it feels was like, look at the big, beautiful, shiny gold. And they would take all that low value silver and buy it and sell it and use it for machines and use it for different things that they were constructing that they needed to use it for. So it was kept undervalued by the nefarious ones as a means of using it for what they wanted to use it for at a very cheap price. And the whole time they're like, look at gold, look at the price of gold, and had people think that the gold is the better value than the silver. But if you look at it, there's more you can do with silver than there is what you can do with gold. So you will see a change in this as to when, you know, it may be within the next few months. It may be a year from now. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, this is a group question. There were several people that wrote in, and so I wrote this as a group question here. We were told that people who want to do humanitarian projects will receive money separately from the Jubilee or NASARA. And some people suggest it may be this week. What is the likelihood? And in the future, Jubilee or NASARA, is that going to happen around April? And then the third one was, can you explain the process in which people will go through with the RV currency and the revaluation, and what's going to happen with people having special humanitarian projects? So this is another one of those questions that people are looking at it from the old way. There is going to be money. It is going to be available for people. It is going to be part of the revaluation of the currency of this planet. However, the thought process has always been, I fill out my form, I submit it to the people, it gets evaluated by a panel, they give me my money. It's not going to be like that at all. There's already in place through the blockchain and through the newer, the new system, that they can find out these websites that are working with humanity, that are working on all of these different things to help humanity. And so they've already been targeted to receive something because they're up and running and it's already in place. So once this money, the Jubilee takes place, I like that name. That's such a fun name, isn't it? And so as soon as that takes place, there are many of these companies or groups of people that are going to get that money. You will also see that there are many nefarious ones that have the illusion, or they put a face on, that people think they are for the good of the whole, and those people are not, and it's going to come out that they are not, and they will not be receiving any money. And it will almost be, it's not as if someone's going to go say, oh, I got it, they didn't. It's not that kind of thing, but it will come out to the people in those organizations. Well, why didn't we get any money? We see so many people get it. And that's when the truth will come out and it will unfold. And the majority of people that work for these institutions, and sometimes churches and sometimes various organizations, they don't know that actually at the top of it is a lot of nefarious ones. So that's how that will come out. I do not see anything happening this week or next month. I do see that more knowledge has to be given about what's been going on worldwide. And once that takes place, then they will have the Nasara Jasara. It's always been there. It is always there, and it is going to happen. But they have been doing everything piece by piece by piece by piece, because everything they do opens up the energy a little further. You bring in the high vibration. Just as I said, you could stand next to a rock but not see it because of the difference in vibration. If you had done this too early, when the vibration was still low, that control, manipulation, and lack, it would not have gone over well for people. So the consciousness of the world has to be in a place that's in vibrational alignment to receive that. And when they are there, that's when it's going to happen. And this is everything, or this is a big part of what the 3i Atlas is working on. So yes, it is going to happen. Yes, it's going to happen sooner rather than later. But I certainly don't see it this week. And I think it's going to be several weeks more. Is it going to come? It does feel like it's, well, of course, I say that every time. It was going to come before this fall equinox, the winter solstice. So it's going to happen when it's going to happen. But everything is already set up. It's just a matter of activating it and making it known to all of humanity. And then as to how to apply, if you're trying to start up a new business, there will be a way to do it. And it does not feel as if it's something hard, such as you fill out reams and reams of paper and it takes you months to hear anything back. It feels like this will be a very quick process. But they do still need to find a way to evaluate. So you do still have to have a way of describing what you do and what your purpose is. But there will be, there's also the people that are going to be in charge of these things are going to be those people that are living in the higher vibrational frequency, and they're going to be able to see your energy, see the soul, see the energy around this. And so that's another big jump as to whether or not they're going to trust someone or not trust someone. Okay, let's see. Will Zorhan Mandavi, let's see, serve out his full term as mayor of New York? I remember talking about him during the last time we got together a couple of weeks ago, and it was like he was in a snow globe at that time, or in a bubble, and he kept trying to touch things and have an influence, and he just kept hitting the wall. As I'm looking at him now, I see him sitting there and his hands are in cuffs. So is he going to be... whether he serves his whole term or he gets taken out of office, his hands are in cuffs. He cannot do as much as he wants to do because they are systematically taking down all of these nefarious ones and all of these illegal aliens that have been trying to hold office and trying to do things this whole time that they've been here. So, and I also feel. Let me look at him and ask that question. New York is becoming, sorry, I'm downloading into Shelly. New York is one of those places in the United States that was just very magical. You could see so many different cultures, and for the most part, people got along well with one another, and you could experience many, many different things there. And it feels like there's a heaviness that is over New York right now. It feels like for the last 4 years, many people have been leaving New York because they could already see it going, in that radicalized form, just as San Francisco, so much of LA, Chicago. And so New York is not what it was 10 years ago to 15 years ago. That could be a good thing. I do see that that there are people in place that are arresting other people and they are getting them moved out of there. And I do believe that those people that have been part of New York and have been there for a very long time have put down their foot. No, we're not going to do that here. No, we're not going to allow that here. No, this is not what we believe in. And it does not feel like the elections were correct, meaning he did not get duly elected into that office. So perhaps what I'm seeing with his hands like that is that as everything comes out about the illegal voting system and what's been done in that regard, it'll come out that he was never supposed to be there anyway, and that's when he'll come down. Doing his full term, I just do not see it. I don't think so. Some of the alt media have said that Trump will be cutting off funding to states that allow sanctuary cities, as it's proven to be loaded with criminal activities. Is this going to happen? He's already done that. He did that, it feels like, in the early part of the year, like in January or February of last year, right after he took office. And so that's why you've already seen some changes in a lot of these cities. It does look as if there's a potential for the National Guard to come into some of these places. So yes or no question to that? I believe the answer is yes, he's going to. But it will be for the means of getting rid of the people that are illegal aliens, for getting rid of those that are of other cultures and are trying to take over in those cities. And it feels as if, of course, the citizens that live there that are dependent on that, it feels like somehow, some way, they will still get what they need. But this is about making sure that all of the illegal activities come out, that those illegal activities are taken down, and then the people that need to be deported are deported. So yeah, that's that. Okay, this was an interesting one. So, and this may be something many of you are feeling too. Thank you for your healing med bed. I usually wake up feeling better, but then I deteriorate throughout the day. Can you tell me why this is? This person lived down in Australia. And there was another thing about that. Anyway, don't know where it is. So when you're laying in the med beds, what you're doing is you're working with the energy. The med beds, even in the physical med beds, it's the energy and the frequency. So this individual is, when she's going to bed at night and she's in the med bed and she's in that energy, everything gets healed. She feels great when she wakes up in the morning. But this is exactly what we've been saying. Throughout the day, her vibration drops and drops and drops and drops, whether it's due to the relationships around her, whether it's the job she has, whether it's the stuff she's reading on the internet, who knows? It could be a combination of everything, but it's that interaction, and she's taking it on herself. She's reading this and feeling angry mad, frustrated. She's talking to people. Oh, they just don't get me. I feel alone and isolated. So these types of emotions that she's taking on, whether she's conscious of it or unconscious of it, is what makes her feel worse as the day goes on. And then she goes back into the med bed. She cleans it all out. She lets it all go. And then it gets repeated. It may be a variation the next day or the other day. I do feel that the med bed is still helping her, because just imagine if she didn't have that place of balance that she was going to at least one time during the day. So the key here is that, yes, the med beds can be just as effective, even though you're working with the energy of it and coming to my ship, like in your dream state or your meditation. But then you get pulled out of that place anytime you get hooked into what else might be going on around you. So many people say, but I'm human, I'm emotional. Without that emotional connection, why would I even want to be living my life? This is very, very important for everyone to hear. When you disconnect the cords from people, or you disconnect those cords from yourself, what you are doing is saying, I no longer resonate with that lower vibration, that lower frequency. I no longer want that to be a part of me. So it is essential that each person find their balance with their soul. They find that alignment with their soul, and they let their vibration raise to a higher level. You still have that relationship with your friends and family. Maybe, maybe not. You still have that job, or you decide not to have that job, but you're still living your daily life, but you're making a new alignment with them from the higher vibration, instead of being in that low vibration going around and around and around every single day. This is what I spoke about at the beginning. And so here's another example of it. That disconnection lets you move to the new place so you can live in the new life, and then you create new alignments with people. So if this individual is able to do that, then she'll be able to remain in that higher vibration throughout her day. See. These protesters are causing great harm to our country. Are they NPC people? And if yes, will they disappear soon? And then I found this, the way this person did it. With the escalating ice activity in Minnesota causing the death of Renee Good and growing violence, which is creating fear, anger, and division, can you shed light on the truth of the situation? Okay, the truth of the situation was that individual, because believe me, I've looked at this multiple times since that whole thing happened. This is another thing like that Rodney King. This is another thing like there was another person's name, I'm forgetting it, another female in another situation where they take an individual and they flip the law to make them the victim. But as I looked at it immediately, soon after this happened, and as I'm looking at it right now, let me just clear the energy and look as if with fresh eyes. Whew. She went there that day with the intention of getting herself noticed by others. And in her eyes, she was a martyr. If I have to take someone out, then I have to take someone out, i.e. when she tried to run down that person with her car. And if I die for that, well, then I'm just doing my duty to save everyone. So it feels like she was somewhat fanatical. It feels like she was not stable in her mind. It feels like she was being paid by someone. And it feels like she was looking at this as my big time to be known by everybody. This is also done as a distraction because of all the criminal activities that are coming out in that state. This state has had a lot of problems over the last 10 years. There are parts of downtown Minneapolis that were so beautiful, that were so much a part of the early civilization that was just decimated. And that's what this is feeling like as I'm tapping into it and looking at that individual and looking at the situation. That other energy just popped into my mind. And this all is used as a distraction to try to keep you from knowing what is really going on in the state. So the ICE people were not acting out of sorts. They were acting appropriately. This individual did have a clear intention when she went to that situation that, oh, if I do harm, I do harm. Maybe I'll be in the spotlight. Maybe they'll see me. Whatever it was that was in her mind. But it feels like she was mentally unbalanced, and that was her focus when she went there. Okay, now what's going to happen with Minnesota with all of this? It feels like they've already taken out those people. It feels like this was all, they had all of the things on the governor and other people that were part of the state officials, and they were preparing their case and they were going to take them down. It does feel as if the governor himself may have been taken out about September, October, something like that, for crimes against humanity. You know, yes, he did these other illegal things in the country, but crimes against humanity take you to tribunals. And it felt like he was already taken out and taken over for crimes against humanity. And so now there's a person that's in his place that says, oh, okay. So anyway, it's important to understand that some of this is just the show of what's going on. Some of this is to keep the left side very wound up and in that place of protesting and screaming and yelling. But this is exactly what I would like you not to get caught up in. Feel compassion for people that are innocent, that are getting hurt. Feel compassion for whatever the situation may be as you're looking at it. But try your very, very best not to give it any energy, not to get caught up in it, and not to give these individuals any more, put them in the spotlight or do anything more than it has been. But this was definitely a, what do you call it? Not an alternative, a distraction. This was definitely a distraction to take your eyes off of everything that was going down, that was replacing the government of Minnesota. Okay, I just heard, well, is Minnesota stable? Is it okay to go there? It feels very temporary. It feels like this is not something that's going to be going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. It feels like it's short-lived, and there may be the National Guard that goes in here and brings that stability. So it does. I do see that there's a sense that may happen. But when I look to February, when I look to March, it feels like Minnesota is coming out from under this cloud, and they will be much stronger. And there is a lot of positive that's going to be coming from that state. Okay. Let's see here. Whew, I have talked almost an hour. That's unusual. What is going to happen regarding the facial recognition that is being pushed on the world? It seems that everyone entering the United States must be fingerprinted, photographed, and given a short stay, even if it's a short stay in the country. Will this continue for long, or will this get worse instead of better? This does not feel like it's only the United States to me. It feels like many of the countries around the world are doing this. They've used facial recognition for about 15 years. It is getting more prevalent than what it used to be. And it will become a part of, especially as AI continues to grow and especially as things continue to transition, it will become more a part of your everyday reality. So much of what they used it for was negative, and it was implemented by the nefarious ones as a means of somewhat punishment, you could say. But they're being very, very careful. Speaking back to this in the United States, they're being very careful of the people they let in. They are not letting people in that do not have the correct documentation. And so, yes, they are coming down harder now than they were before. Oh, there was something, maybe it was in a different question, about 75 countries. And yes, they are asking people to voluntarily leave. They did that back in December. And if most of these people will leave, which I feel like the vast majority will, because they're no longer getting that support, that financial support, that free handout that they were told that they would get. So it does feel like many of them will leave. And And this that they're feeling right here, when you get into the higher vibrational frequency, it will no longer be trying to keep people out because they're here to harm you or we don't trust them. There will be a certain level of trust and there will be a certain level of smoothness that all of these things will take place. But that's not for a year from now. So you're going to be going through the same things you've been going through all along for at least the next 6 to 9 months. But hopefully things will get smoother and smoother as time goes on. Phew, I'm done. I am done. I have talked almost an hour. So let me just move on to Presentia. So thank you very much for this opportunity with you today. Know that I am ever with you on Saluia. Greetings. It is I, Presentia. As I move in, I just bring this kind of calming, soothing energy with me. Elbayan gets the questions that he is asked and what he gets caught up in sometimes can be very intense. And so when I come in, I want to just smooth out the energies and bring everything back to a place that is a little bit more relaxed and not that what I say is any less important or more important. It's all about the vibration and frequency that we are each emanating into all of you. And my intent is always to be that of love, compassion, balance, and being a part of the cycles and the process that are so much a part of the living on the earth plane. Whew. Elbayan touched into a little bit the energies in various parts of the world. And I wanted to talk about that myself. There are so many places. We talked in the past about inside of volcanoes. We talked in the past about some of these deep caves that go deep inside the earth. We've talked in the past about different parts of the planet where Lemuria was in the past, where Atlantis was in the past. And even before those two times is that very, very ancient time that he talked about looking at Persia and that part of the country of the world over there. So as we're here, as we're experiencing this, I wish to share with you that the earth itself has gone through a huge purging. And what I mean by that, as we continue to rise into a higher vibrational frequency, you are clearing out and clearing out and clearing out anything that was stuck in the earth that is no longer serving humanity. So there are earthquakes, there are fires, there are flooding, there is flooding, there are changes in your weather patterns, and you're accustomed to thinking anything that happens, it must be due to control and manipulation. But many, many times in the future, as we move forward, this is going to be Gaia shedding the energy. This is going to be Gaia saying, we need to clear that out. I'm no longer going to hold on to that and move forward from there. So it's not always going to be that it was the nefarious ones or that it was a do weapon. Many, many times, this is going to be Gaia herself that is creating this change and shedding this energy. Okay. In the higher vibrational frequencies, you yourself are going to go through transitions. Your body is going to physically change. You will sleep different. You will eat different foods. You will digest things differently. There will be some things that you never used to like that suddenly you like. So start listening to your body. This is also in alignment with listening to your intuition that Elbayan spoke about, with information that may come across your way. Well, listen to your intuition on what you may want to eat. Listen to your intuition on where you want to go, what you want to do. There are so many ways in which you can integrate this into your everyday life. And the more that you work with it, the more that you live with it, the stronger it's going to get for you. Okay. I think I'm just going to jump into things because I know that Shelly's already getting tired, and I do want to be able to answer these questions. We've had a very mild temperatures this winter. Also, I've seen similar mild temps in England. Will there be late winter cold and snow in the Pacific Northwest? It does feel as if the patterns of temperatures on your planet are changing. One of the big lies of the nefarious ones was they said that the Earth was heating up. They called it global warming, that the Earth was getting warmer. The Earth is actually moving through a transition where some parts of the planet are going to actually get colder than what they were before, and some that are normally warm will get warmer than they will before, meaning like the equator. Things around the equator will get a little bit warmer. Things at the opposite ends are going to get a little bit colder. So everything in between there they are going to go through changes and transitions. Yes, some of the polar caps are melting because it's actually warmer up there, but about 2026 to 2028 is the time when that's going to shift again, and you will begin to see more cold temperatures, and you will see less of the melting of these ice caps. All of this is very normal process for the Earth plane. You could come down just looking at Europe and the United States, almost to Mexico. That was all solid ice, like the ice caps of the North Pole, and consider that melting, if you will. But because it was over thousands of years and you didn't look at it in the same way, it was just a part of the reality for the people that were living on the planet at that time. So what I see happening is that ultimately there's going to be a greater balancing of everything on the Earth. So the cold will be less cold, the warm will be less warm, unless you're in these places that just have a more specific intensity around it. But as the vibration, that's what it is in the vibration, that's that fourth, fifth dimension. But as each one of you are integrating the higher frequency, and as Gaia herself completes this process of shedding her skin and letting go of this stuff, everything, when you get to the end of this, is going to be in a much greater balanced place. There will still be a lot of places that have cold, a lot of places that have warm, and a lot of places that are just balanced energy. This feels to me like at least 5 years, 5 to 10 years or something like that down the road. That doesn't mean it stays the same and then boom, it's done. So just be aware that over those 5 to 10 years, there will be gradual changes that are happening to your weather that is going to affect humanity, and it will be humanity affecting it also. So be aware that yes, that's going on, and yes, you are having an impact on it, and it will also be having an impact on you, but it's not a bad thing. So don't automatically think that because it's change, it's a bad thing. Stay in that place of the higher vibrational frequency. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to just skip that one. Can you please talk to us about Great Tartaria and who the Tartarians were? I'm seeing if that goes on to the other place. Okay. I love Tartaria and the Tartarians, and I love that time in history. So let me get quiet here and go and see what I can find out. I don't see it written on here, but there's something that I remember seeing people had asked a question about, and they were saying that what's holding. Okay, I'm going to go this other route first, and I will come back to the Tartarians. There's still people that believe that there's a flat Earth, and the perception that people have as they're looking at that is they're just looking at a slice of a dimension. They're not looking at everything as a whole. There are many people that believe there's like a shell that is holding humanity on that flat Earth, or even on the spherical Earth that you do have. And that shell that is holding you on is being removed. There will never be a time when that which holds you onto the Earth is completely removed because of the gravitational pull of the Earth. With that, which you remember when you see people that are the what do you call them? the jets, not the jets, the rockets that are going up into the sky. It's like they're going, and then boom, they get through that rim, and then it's like they're in a state of suspended animation. So because of the gravitational pull, without something like that, it would be pulling things from the universe into the Earth plane. In addition, many of the people that are living on the Earth plane, well, all of humanity and animals and whatever it would not have the same stability of being on this planet if there was not something permanent, I think is what some people call it. And so, yes, there is that. And there are many people that think, well, this is what's influencing that allows you to see the sun the way you do, the moon the way you do, and that's going to all change out. And then the sun may be two, the moon may be two, they may be different colors, so many different things coming in. And there are even a group of individuals that think that it's almost like the Freeman Show. Is that what it was called? The Freeman Show, as if his whole reality, which was a movie that the whole rest of the world was watching, that he didn't know, that it's being controlled and manipulated. So some of these people think that this firmament is being controlled and manipulated and made to look a certain way or act a certain way. And so my answer to that, and I feel like I'm pulling from about 3 or 4 different individuals that had put out questions, and I'm trying to see if I tap into them correctly and if I explain myself correctly. But the thing to know is that, yes, there is something around the planet that holds you all in. This is something that has been very thick at times and very thin at other times. It is something that is influenced by the Galactic Federation and those of us that are working outside of the planet to help you inside of the planet, or, where you are on the planet. And so that energy is changing, but not because of the negative things that are going on. It is changing because the vibrational frequency of the planet is changing. And so it changes in relation to the vibrational frequency of the planet. It is also changing in the way that it allows for other ships of the universe and other alignments with the planets and the stars and the moon. As all of that continues to shift into a new, this area is also being transitioned because of the vibration and the frequency that is coming at it this way and coming out from the earth. And so therefore it creates a change or a transition. So yes, there are things that are different, and there are things that there always have been and there always will be. And so it's important that each of you recognize that when you're thinking of these things, and this goes back also to the gold dome they talked about, when you are thinking of any of these things, it's about knowing that that is actually just a part of your planet. It's not like it was put there to harm you or to hurt you. This is all just when you go into the core of the earth and then come out in concentric circles. This is all just part of what makes up the earth. Every planet has some sort of a barrier like that, and every planet has something that keeps that planet intact. And so it is a part of the planet and not something that was added as a means of controlling and manipulating. The reason that I went into this, it just popped into my mind as I was talking, is that someone thought that the Tartarians were the ones that had created that, and that the Tartarians were working outside of that. And so that's why I wanted to explain that and the way that it actually works and its relationship with Gaia. So my answer to that is no, the Tartarians did not create it. They did not manipulate it. They do not go outside of it. That is all in relationship with Gaia. And there are many different cultures throughout the eons that have worked with it and have been aware of it, but they did not create it. Just wanted to just try to clarify that. Whew. Okay. The Tartarians were a culture that came after Lemuria and after Atlantis. They lived primarily in what is now considered Europe and Eastern Europe. It stretched from the ocean all the way over to what you consider Eastern Europe and those Romania, Czech Republic, those types of places. When you have the great big huge churches, the great big tall, that Gothic structures and everything, those were frequently made by the Tartarians. They lived before the age of Christ, they lived during the age of Christ, and they lived after the age of Christ. So they were on the earth for a very, very long period of time. They were part of an ET group of people, because they came in and they were like what you would say, 30 feet tall, 40 feet tall, 50 feet tall. They were very, very, very tall and very big. And they came onto this planet because the planet was so expansive. They left this planet because there were too many people and they could no longer function on it. And they no longer had their spread out spaces that they liked to have. There were aspects of Tartaria that were not the giants like that, and they were normal sized humans that worked with them. There are some that believe that the humans were servants to them, but it was a co-creative type people. Most of the Tartarians were very peaceful, loving individuals. They were there as a way of seeding the earth, of bringing ET energy and consciousness into the earth. And they were there for big, massive reasons of these things that they would change. There was a portion of the Tartarians that were a fighting force. And there are some that relate them directly into the Anunnaki, and that they were placed here to control and manipulate people. Those that were the fighting force were, maybe I could see a link like that, but the majority of them were very peace loving and were here as a means of anchoring from a planet. It's not any of your typical planets. It came from maybe Alpha Centauri or Beta Centauri, something like that. No, it's not those planets. It came from another planet that was quite far from where you are in this end of the universe. It was not in your galaxy. It was beyond the galaxy. But anyway, so you will hear a lot more of them. Their history will come out and people will talk about it. People are already talking about it, but it will become even more prevalent and people will understand their importance in history. Lately, I've been sleeping about 10 hours at night. I have little appetite and I have begun painting and drawing again. I feel fabulous. I am drinking small doses of Celtic salt first thing in the morning, at midday, and at bed. Would this be the crystalline energy I am feeling? Yes. This individual is listening to her body. She's taking what she needs. You also have heard about those like Element, and there are many different companies that are now making salt-based things that you can put in your drinking water. Salt is one of those minerals that helps the bones and it helps work with the cells and clearing out the cells. So there are many, many people that are listening to their intuition or buying those different products and using them on a daily basis. Not only does it help you like when it's really hot outside or something like that, but it also helps you as you're transitioning the cellular structure. Do you have to sleep 10 hours? No, not necessarily. But this individual is doing so. She's got the ability to do so, and it's what works for her. But not everybody has to have the same exact symptoms in order to go through this transition. People will feel it differently with whatever they need for their body. Okie doke. I have heard from source that we are not that we are not going to be celebrating Christmas this year. Could the ULBs talk about this from sources, plural, that we're not? Things like that just make me laugh. I do not see Christmas going away. Maybe things are going to change around all the holidays that you celebrate on the earth. So I could certainly see that happening, but I absolutely do not see Christmas going away. It is one of the biggest worldwide holidays, both those that follow it for spiritual reasons and those that follow it for the joy of the season. So I do not see that changing and going away. This, to me, reminds me of if the nefarious one had taken over and they were sucking all the joy out of humanity and all the love and light out of humanity, they would take away something like that, not allow people to celebrate it. But I could say 100%, hands down, you will be celebrating it next year. What's the best way to strengthen lung capacity in a child? So if this individual has asthma or has some sort of a respiratory problem, maybe there's a little scar tissue or something on the lungs, there are a few different ways that are just coming to my mind. Number one, the biggest way and the best way, if you talk to shaman in many of the different countries around the world, they talk about breath and they talk about breathing and they talk about a very slow inhalation, and then about the importance of holding that and then breathing out. Because when you inhale, you're really expanding your lungs. It'll probably send your shoulders back. It'll take your chest out, and that will allow your lungs to get to expand. So if you can work with this type of controlled breathing, where it frequently is about breathing more in than breathing out, meaning 5 seconds in, 3 seconds out. No, and until you get to the place where you might be breathing in for 30 to 40 seconds and breathing out for 20 to 30 seconds. But anyway, the more that you can practice with that, where you're literally holding that energy and pushing the little capillaries in your lungs to expand, is going to help you to hold a greater capacity of oxygen in your lungs. There may be other things going on with this individual that I'm not aware of, but again, I wanted to bring this up and talk about it because many people, as they move through these transitions in these energies, you might feel it in your respiratory system. You might feel it in your digestive system. You might feel it in, allergies that come up. There's so many different things that can happen to people, but breathing is the number one thing that brings you into focus and brings you into center. It is the number one thing that allows you to hold in the air, the oxygen, and be present. Because when you take a deep breath in, it's very hard. And if you're holding it, it's very hard for your mind to be going in 1,000 different ways. If you want to calm your mind, quiet your mind, focus on breathing in and focus on holding your breath for whatever period of time that is. So that's what I would recommend. I'm sure there might be other potentials that people know around you, but that's just one of the things that I see. So thank you for allowing me to be present here. I do truly appreciate all of you. And this is such an important time, and each one of you are very, very important to the ascension of the earth. Remembering who you are as your soul, that is number one in anything that you do. That alignment to your soul, that alignment to source, that is what truly centers you, balances you, and allows your vibration to rise to the highest ability possible. Know that I'm ever with you. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, Crystalia. I ended up the third person tonight, but I have been weaving energy in and amongst everything else that was being spoken about tonight. When they talked about the ancient places on the planet, they just mentioned the ones that were around Persia. There are so many different ancient places on this planet. That place which you might call China, that place that you might call Russia, the northern places, the southern, around Australia, around South America, Africa. You can go to just about every part of this planet, and there are sacred places. Some of these have been inhabited and were inhabited for hundreds of years. Others of these have never been inhabited. And what you will find, as the vibration keeps rising, you will begin to see things, and you'll think to yourself, has that always been there? I don't remember seeing that. It's as if it appears overnight. And I'm speaking about islands. I'm speaking about entrances to caves. I'm speaking about places where people are finding crystals. And they talked a lot about the precious metals, or the raw earth metals, or whatever you refer to them as. Many of those things are what make up the crystalline vibration. Many of those things were anchored on this planet many millions and thousands of years ago because of their importance in not only creating the planet, but knowing that there were times long before Lemuria when ships would come in and they might take time on Earth because they would have these minerals here. They would repair their ships, they would do what they needed to do, and then they would go on about their business. So this is not something new. This is something that is going to be returned to. These minerals that are rare earth minerals, that's the word. These are minerals that you will hear a great deal about in the months and years to come, and they are mostly going to be used because of the alignment with the universe and because of the alignment with making ships that can travel through the universe. This is a very, very exciting time. As I'm looking at you, we are now past the equinox, and I'm sorry, the solstice, and what a difference. I don't know if you guys can feel the difference, but as I'm looking at all of you and as I'm interacting with all of you, for me, there is so much less of that separation in consciousness than what I have always felt with you. I feel as if so many of you have just opened up. Maybe it's still in your unconsciousness, but it's there. You have opened up. You have been in this new alignment, and you are receiving more and more and more information, vibration, frequencies, everything that is just sinking down into you and becoming a part of who you are. So this is a very, very exciting time to be here. There will still be struggles. There will still be some settling down of information. There will still be information that comes out. But as the other two have said, try very, very, very hard to stay in your place of balance. All of these people that maybe had some downloads go into their unconsciousness. As this year progressed, 2026, those things are going to begin to come to the surface. And so you will hear a lot of people questioning, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why is this bothering me suddenly? Why am I noticing this? And you'll get a lot of why? So it's important for you. Each one of you are the teachers. You're the teachers by just talking about what your experience have been. You're the teacher by talking about what's happening, not only globally, but universally. And there'll be a lot of people that have zero interest in hearing about that or finding out what is happening. And that's okay. But anyone that is receiving these downloads, they're going to question things in their life. They're going to question the choices they make. They're going to question what is truth for them, what is their reality. And that's how even more of the high vibrational frequency is going to come in. The earth is a new and different place from what it was. And much of what you're seeing is just the finishing touches of all that nasty, nefarious energy. I see so much abundance on the planet, more so than what I saw before. And I see abundance of energy, of high vibrational frequencies, of love, of light. I see abundance reflected as prosperity. I see people just in the streets exclaiming and happy and jubilant because they no longer have the burden that they have carried for so very long. And that burden for so many of you was done through the control and manipulation of money and finances. And when you take that off, just think about the burden that is lifted. I see that. I see that as I look at humanity. I know you're not there this month of January, but moving into February and March, it's going to just, once you start taking it off, it's going to be like it pops off, and there will be a lot that happens very, very quickly. So this is the year. This is also a year of new beginnings. Last year was a year of completion. And so always there's an overlay for the first 1 to 2 months or so of people still completing things, still finishing the cycle. And then as they do so, they're ready to open up to the new. But this is why we keep saying consciousness is the key. Consciousness is where you focus your attention and your awareness, and keeping it in the space where you are aligned with your soul, where you're aligned with your higher self, where you're listening to your intuition, and where all of that is working with you very consistently. That's what keeps you in the very best place that you can. And suddenly it's almost like money manifests in and around you, and you think, where did that come from? And it's because you're in the vibrational frequency of abundance, and it gets reflected through abundance of friendships, abundance of a home, abundance of your cars, abundance of everything that's in your life. So be in joy, be in the flow of love and light, and know that you're now shifting into that much higher vibrational timeline. You're just closing down the last of this last one. This is truly an exciting time to be here upon the earth. And I'm so thrilled that I can be here with all of you. Beloved, know that I'm with you on Saluia. Whew. Okay. Whew. Well, this is Shelly. As you can tell, I'm pretty tired. El Bayon, that just was too much. Maybe I should have just ignored some of these questions. I don't know. I tried not to, but yeah, that wore me out at the beginning there. But lots of great information. The bottom line is that we are here, we're arriving, and now our focus is not on when is something going to be disclosed, what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there. Our focus is now on each one of us living and becoming that higher vibration and becoming our consciousness as we live. So, and then it's going to just be a ripple effect, changing everything else around us too. So pretty exciting times. Thank you, as always, for being here. I truly appreciate you. If you're just seeing this for the first time, consider subscribing or liking or whatever it is, those things that you might do. And I'll see you next time. My website is crystallinetransformations.com, and I'm on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Bye-bye. Take care.